Joining us now to talk about the latest in the livestock markets, Derrell Peel, our livestock marketing specialist here at Oklahoma State. Derrell, let's start today talking about the imports. What's happening in those markets?
You know, beef imports into the U.S. are up a little bit this year. We expected that. Again, we have high prices in the U.S. and that attracts more product into the U.S. market. It depends on exchange rates, but it's a bit of a mixed bag when you look at the major sources of imports. Australia is one of those. We're actually getting less meat so far this year from Australia and from Canada, which is also one of our major sources of imports. On the other hand, New Zealand is up in terms of the amount of meat coming into the U.S. from New Zealand, and Mexico, who is a newcomer on the block as a source of beef imports, is up again this year after having grown dramatically in the last 3 years.
All right, so then let's talk about the export side of things. How's that working?
Exports are down a little bit, again, and as expected, because prices are high here. We had very strong growth in 2010 and 2011 that was not likely to continue, and we're seeing that now. So we've dropped off a little bit, but again, it's a mixed bag when you look at the major markets. Japan is actually up nicely, and as we know, Japan changed their regulations earlier this year to accept meat from animals under 30 months of age. On the other hand, Russia has been a very strong market for us the last 2 or 3 years, and currently we're sending no product to Russia because they have a ban on ractopamine, and so that's an issue that's being worked on there. Exports are down to Mexico, which is also one of our major markets, but up a little bit to Canada at the same time.
All right, now in both of those you mentioned Canada and Mexico, which are both importers and exporters for us. Talk about that dynamic and how does we relate to that?
You know, what it really illustrates more than anything else, two things, I guess. One is that we really have a North American market, and it makes no sense really to think of it as 3 separate markets. They're very well integrated, more so all the time. The other thing is beef is not one thing. It's many different products, and so the trade that we have with Canada and Mexico in particular illustrates the fact that we're sorting out different products going to different markets. Some of it's due to geography, if you will, transportation costs, but also just different products and the values they have in the different countries, and again, it's a continual evolution in those markets to become more integrated as a North American market.
All right, now we've talked there about all the meat side of things. What's happening in the live cattle markets?
The live cattle trade in North America is also very important with Canada and Mexico and the U.S. You know, the last 2 years we have imported near record levels of cattle from Mexico, partly because of prices here, but also because they've been affected by a drought, much as the U.S. has. Those levels were not sustainable, and they did drop off at the end of 2012, and so far in 2013 we're running down over 40% from a year ago. So we'll probably end up the year with 50 to maybe 60% of last year's level of cattle imports from Mexico. On the Canadian side, we're getting a few more feeder cattle in the early part of the year, though that may be dropping off here. And we're also getting more cattle that are coming in directly to go to slaughter. Part of that increase is due to the fact that we're importing more cull cows going to slaughter, because about a year ago a major cow killing plant in eastern Canada closed, and many of those dairy cows are now coming down to the U.S. live rather than before they were coming down already processed into meat.
All right, good information as always. Derrell Peel, Livestock Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.